Hello, everyone. I'm Matt Williamson. It is prediction time for Steelers-Browns. Let's preview this game. First off, get some of the hidden yardage type things out of the way, because I think that's big for this one. I think special teams, despite the Steelers getting a kick block last week, greatly favors the Steelers, especially the field goal kicking department. You know, we got weather now. The Browns have struggled in that area. I think Boz has really been the best kicker in the league this year. So no worries there. They're also been great on punt team. You know, their punt coverage has been really good. They've been good in all phases, as you probably know. So I think that helps the Steelers quite a bit, as do turnovers in a big, big way. Steelers are at the top of the league in turnover differential. They're great at creating turnovers, both creating fumbles, etc., getting their hands on tip ball, creating tip balls. And Winston is kind of a turnover machine. You know, maybe that gets a little overblown because he throws the ball so much that, yeah, you're going to have interceptions, but he's super aggressive. And I to cut to the chase here, I think the Steelers' defense in particular is going to have a lot of splash plays in this game. I think that their pass rush is going to be the story on Monday. I think that they will have several turnovers, several big hits on Winston. And here's why. First of all, he's aggressive and he plays into their strengths in that department. Now, he can hurt you too. I mean, I like Winston. But I'm sure that after last Thursday when they played, 2 Thursdays ago or whatever, the D-line's a little embarrassed of that performance. And now the second half was tons of snow and you're not going to have any kind of get off, and that's really going to hurt the D-line. But the first half was not Steelers football from that perspective. And I'm sure that Tomlin has brought that up now for going on 2 weeks straight. And this proud unit led by Cam Hayward, I am expecting to rebound in a huge way against a divisional opponent and dominate their offensive line, run and pass. Browns hardly even run the ball at all. Nick Chubb's a shell of himself. His best game was probably the one you saw against the Steelers, but he goes down on first contact way too easy. So they become very one-dimensional, which with Winston's, aggressiveness can get them into trouble, but also can do some good things. Kind of reminds me when Joe Flacco took over last year, when he came off the couch and took over in Cleveland. He had nothing to lose. He's slinging it all over the field, good or bad, and so be it. That's kind of where they're at. I like their pass catchers quite a bit. Not sure if Tillman's going to play, but I'm recording this on Thursday, late morning. I expect him to come back from his concussions. He's kind of the X on the line of scrimmage guy. Judy's the Z, the move around, big play guy. Elijah Moore's your slot. That's a good trio. And Njoku, I think, is a high-end receiving tight end that they feed the ball to a lot. He had 17 targets last week. So that's where the football goes. And Winston throws it to those guys a lot, and they all put up numbers. I think the Steelers' secondary is a little bit of an underreported issue. I don't love the way Dante Jackson's playing. Sutton looks slow. We know about the penalties with Porter, but he's the guy by far I trust most. So I do think that they will move the ball through the air. But I think the Steelers' D-line is the biggest X factor in this game. That anytime he holds the ball, I expect the Steelers' D-line to make an impact. They're going to have to max protect a little bit more. So I do think the Browns will move the football. I think that their receivers can do damage, and that's a good group, as I mentioned. It's not a great group. There's not a true number one, in my opinion. Judy's emerging that way statistically. But Tillman and him were neck and neck, basically, in terms of production when they were all healthy. But all four of those guys will get yardage. And again, I think the Steelers secondary, another corner, is becoming more and more of an offseason need to me. I think you let Dante Jackson go. You draft one or sign one. Maybe Trice can be that guy. We talked about that earlier in the week. But that's a conversation for the offseason. We'll see how Jackson finishes things out. I do think he's fighting a shoulder injury too. But you know you're not going to get much run. And you know you can kind of pin your ears back and rush the passer. And again, I think that's going to be the difference in the game when it's all said and done, is I think the Steelers' defensive front, which is really healthy now. I'm assuming Highsmith's going to play. I would like to see Watt's snap count come down 10%, 15%, because you got all four edge guys for the first time. Not that Watt is playing bad, of course, but let's think big picture here and save him a little bit for the stretch run, the playoffs. You have Herbig. I mean, are you in a bad position if Herbig's coming from the quarterback's right and Highsmith's coming from the blind side? No, it's a good situation. Maybe Preston Smith plays a little more early down stuff. I'm just saying take a little bit off Watt's plate because you're so healthy there. Not sure if Adams will play or not either, but I think the defensive front right now is really in a good spot. BetOnline is the world's most trusted betting platform and your number one source for online betting. From the earliest odds to in-game live betting, BetOnline provides you with all the action and ability to watch the games as they happen. With the largest selection of odds on everything from football, NBA and college basketball, NHL, to UFC and MMA, head to BetOnline today and get in on the action with America's most trusted site for online wagering. BetOnline, the game starts here. Other side of the ball isn't as exciting, to be honest with you, because I don't have a real strong run or pass feel from the Steelers in this one. Of course, they're an extremely run-heavy team. Job number one is going to be not neutralize Garrett like they did Hendrickson. Just limit how much he beats up on you, because he's going to view this game as a rivalry game between him and Watt. Browns don't have much to play for, but I would imagine you're going to get everything you possibly can from Myles Garrett once again. And that's a problem. He's a phenomenal, phenomenal player. And you can scheme around it, but he's going to cause problems. You know, the Steelers threw more against the Bengals. I don't know that they'll be as run heavy as they were going down the stretch as Wilson becomes more comfortable. I think he's going to come to the line of scrimmage a lot and check out of runs into heavy boxes where they wouldn't have in the past, into throws. But I don't really have a huge feel for this is a run-heavy game, this is a feed Najee game, or throw it all over the yard. I definitely think that they'll play with a lot of tight ends. Pickens will get his shots. I'd like to see even more targets with Pickens. It hasn't been reported all that much either, but the last 2 weeks, Freiermuth usage and production has really spiked. It seems like him and Wilson are starting to really get on the same page together. I'm expecting the rest of the way for Freiermuth to be basically the number 2 receiver on the team. And I would expect Pickens and Freiermuth to get a lot of targets in this game. Probably a lot less running back throwing. I think that was always going to be in the mix. I'm not saying it's going away, but this is the way Cincinnati played, just vacating the middle of the field. Jim Schwartz is going to do that. You know, I mean, this defense is going to do a lot better job. I do think they can have some success on the ground. Tomlinson caused them some problems at defensive tackle a couple weeks ago. They need to deal with him a little bit better. The O-line in general, I didn't think had a very good day. But Wilson's playing at a really high level. I expect him to do a really good job of, as I always say, get them out of bad plays. You know, watch him pre-snap, moving people around, changing the plays, get out of runs into heavy boxes, as I mentioned. You know, don't run bad plays. And boy, the last 5 years, Steelers have just, ran what was called into the teeth of the defense, and you're not seeing that anymore. So I don't have a ton of wonderful insights on this side of the ball, but I do think the Browns defense is pretty formidable, led by Garrett, without question. Much, 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 much stiffer test than that Bengals defense, which is just hideous. So it's not going to be as easy as that. I mean, I would bet everything I have that's the Steelers' best offensive game of the season last week, because that Bengals defense was pathetic and remains pathetic. I have the Steelers winning this game 27-17. I do think the Browns will make some plays through the air, but I also think the Steelers defense is set to make a lot of plays. I think you're going to see a lot of defensive splash. I think you're going to renegade, towels going late, pass rush, very little run threat, better on special teams. I would bet everything I have that I'm not going to bet everything I have, not that I have that much, that they win the splash play, battle, that they win the turnover battle. Cam, I'm sure, will have a very nice day. So I think the story will be when I get back with you guys Sunday evening, that the Steelers' defensive front was awesome, was the best aspect of this game, that Wilson managed the game well, got them into good plays. And a big key for me, too, just watching the first meeting, is no negatives. I mean, the Steelers only had 1 tackle for loss in that game. The Browns had 11. I'd be shocked if that's not flipped 11-to-1 ratio, but I bet that the Steelers defense creates a lot more negatives than the Browns defense creates. A lot of it's the style of play, the versatility of the offense, but mostly, again, I just keep coming back to the Steelers defensive front, as healthy and deep as it is now, and kind of getting embarrassed in Cleveland. At home, I don't think that'll happen at all. Steelers could blow them out. And I don't think the Browns are a bad team. I really don't. I think the Winston-led Browns are an average NFL team. They're like at the Bears level. They're not a playoff team, but they're not one of the hideous teams. But I don't think this sets up real well for Cleveland. All right, everyone. I will get back to you after the final whistle, so you'll have it in your ears a little after that. All right, take care.